to remind you, this was the abduction and radio drop campaign and the handgun debate. Hello and welcome to CrimeWatch. 12 people rang in giving the same those fantastic results today.
Morning. Thanks for joining us today. And I have to say, Michelle, it is great to have you back with us.
It's good to be back. I've missed you and the team. But hey, we've got a busy series, so please do stay with us, as over the next 3 weeks, we're asking for your help with urgent appeals from all across the UK. You could be holding that vital piece of information that could help solve a case.
Coming up this morning, do you recognise the man in this e-fit? Police want to speak to him in connection to a sexual assault on a schoolgirl in Milton Keynes.
We also have an exclusive interview with the detective who finally secured justice for the murder of Victoria Hall after a painful 26-year wait.
He can sit in prison and rot, really. I'm not spending any more time on it. It's done. He's done. He's gone. I haven't thought about him. I won't think about him again.
And we're joined by officers from Durham to see how their drones are leaving criminals literally nowhere to hide.
As ever, our phone lines are open and our team and officers are ready to take your calls. To get in touch, you just need to scan the QR code below using your phone's camera and follow the link, or you can call us on 08000 468 999. You can text us on 63399. Start with the word crime, leave a space and then write your message. Or if you prefer, you can email us, and that is the address. It's cwl@bbc.co.uk. Those details will be on your screen throughout the whole programme, just down by the clock.
Now, time for our first appeal this series, and it comes from London. A day out that turned from fun to tragedy in a split second as an innocent family got caught up in a drive-by shooting. As you can imagine, this film has some distressing themes.
We don't often see reckless shootings like this where people are firing into a busy restaurant. All the years I've been doing this job, it's the most upsetting thing I've ever had to watch. A 9-year-old girl on the floor, unconscious. The first thing that enters my mind is to catch those who are responsible.
On the 29th of May 2024, a mum and her 9-year-old daughter went for a day trip to London, stopping in Dalston, East London, for some dinner.
It was a half-term break, so my daughter was at home. We decided to go to London. She wanted to have some dinner, so we took a bus. Then we get to this restaurant. We got a seat which is close to the window. She was pretty excited and happy. We were almost finishing our dinner and we heard noises outside. At first we didn't realize what it is. After a fraction of a second, we knew that it's something more serious. It's a gunshot. I asked my daughter, get under the couch. At that time, a lot of chaos, people were running. So many things happened at the time. I bent down and pulled my daughter from under the couch. Then only I realized that she has been shot.
A bullet had struck the little girl in the head, leaving her in a critical condition.
I started shouting or screaming. I asked for help.
Against all odds, the 9-year-old girl survived.
In all the years I've been doing this job, it's the most upsetting thing I've ever had to watch. You know, seeing a 9-year-old girl on the floor, unconscious. Words can't describe how upset and emotional her family members were. We don't often see in London reckless shootings like this where People are firing into a busy restaurant where there's innocent members of the public. The first thing that enters my mind is to catch those who are responsible.
At 9:20 that night, an off-duty police officer was cycling along Kingsland High Street and captured the entire incident on a helmet-mounted camera.
A lone individual on a motorbike comes straight past him and is only meters in front of him and fired 6 shots into the crowded restaurant with no care for anyone that was inside. The young girl was sat inside, and the first bullet that fired hit her.
The bullets also hit 3 men sitting outside. Extraordinarily, no one was killed.
The footage gave us a really good image of the bike, close up. We were able to get a description of the clothing, and we were also able to see where the bike went straight afterwards. CCTV operators were then able to track that bike to where the shooter got off the bike, abandoned it in Culverston Crescent. The shooter got into the rear of a Nissan Juke and was then driven away from the location.
CCTV showed the Nissan travel to an area near Edmonton, where the shooter and a second man switched cars to a Range Rover.
Straight away, this tells me that this has got a high level of planning. They know what they're doing. They know how to try and avoid detection. All these factors put extra pressure on to try and identify those involved as soon as possible and get them arrested.
At some point as they head north, the shooter gets out. The driver then stops to put something in another car, a Mitsubishi Outlander. He then gets back in the Range Rover and drives to a set of flats near Tottenham High Road. Both the Nissan and Mitsubishi were found burnt out a few days later. But the black Range Rover gave police a vital clue.
We were able to identify an insured driver on that vehicle, individual by the name of Javon Riley.
He was known to the police and he was connected to a gang in Tottenham.
We were mindful of the organised crime element. The working hypothesis straight away that this was likely to be Tottenham Turks shooting up Hackney bomber chillers, which is a long ongoing feud which has been running for years. Obviously, it must be someone at that location or individuals that he is targeting. The fact that the intended targets weren't killed, I have to think about any further retaliation, any retribution that may take place.
They discovered Riley had been staking out the restaurant that was shot up for weeks before the shooting.
Riley had been there earlier in the month, sat in a cafe opposite, observing comings and goings from the Evan restaurant. Whether he recruited the shooter or not is not clear, but it's clear that these two were working together. The night of the shooting itself, Javon Riley drives past the Evan restaurant, slows down at times almost to a stop. And he's doing these loops past the restaurant before finally coming to a stop in Culverston Crescent. At this point, we believe, is when the call's gone in to the shooter to make his way up from South London.
20 minutes later, the 6 shots were fired. Police arrested Javon Riley on the 9th of August 2024. He was sentenced to 34 years imprisonment for attempted murder and grievous bodily harm. But the police are still looking for the shooter.
She is living with a bullet in her head. Doctors can't retrieve it back, or it might cause further damage to her brain. It's been 18 months now. but I can see the entire event in front of my eyes every night when I close my eyes. She was a very active child. She did gymnastic, fencing, cooking, singing, swimming, so many things, and this has actually changed her completely.
Her childhood is gone, but I'm not ready to forget my old girl. I can't.
Just in a fraction of a second, they have just crushed, shattered our life, our child's dream, our dream. And they are still outside, free.
And I'm now with DI Ben Dalloway from the Met Police. You saw from the film there, it was just awful to watch that, Ben. And just to recap something you said in the film there, you're confident it's two rival gangs here that were involved in this awful situation.
Yeah, that's right, Rav. We're confident that it's two rival gangs, one named the Hackney Bombacillas and one named the Tottenham Turks. The men who were sat at the front of the restaurant were members of the Hackney Bombacillas and were the intended targets.
Just an awful, awful situation to be caught up in that at all in broad daylight. What do we know about where the shooter went to after it happened?
Yeah, so you see from the clip there, the bike heads away from the scene and the rider rides to Colveston Crescent. In Colveston Crescent, he abandons the bike and gets into a waiting vehicle being driven by Javon Riley. That's a stolen Nissan Juke. From there, the vehicle heads away from Dalston, heads east initially and then north around the A406 North Circular, whereby they have a stop north of Tottenham in the Palmer's Green area. And at that point, they switch from the Nissan Juke into Javon Riley's Range Rover Velar. At that point, they then drive off in the Velar. The two of them head towards Barnet Village. And we believe at some point on that route, the shooter is dropped off, but we just don't know where.
Okay, answers that you need. What do we know about the shooter himself?
The shooter appears to be a proficient motorbike rider.
You can see clear from the footage, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can see by the way he handles the bike, does short, quick turns. We believe he's got connections to the Barset and Tappersfield estates, which is an area in the Nunhead in South London. And we know that because we've tracked the bike to there on the 27th of May. And on the 29th of May, the day of the shooting, the bike emerges from that same vicinity. We've obviously have stills and moving footage whereby we can see the clothing worn by the shooter, being a two-tone North Face jacket, what looked like motorbike trousers with a reflective strip down the side, and what looked like Alpine Stars motorbike boots as well.
And a quite clear sort of white helmet at the time of the shooting there, quite distinctive. And what about the bike itself? What can you tell us about that?
So the bike, it was a stolen bike, stolen in 2022. As of the 2nd of May, 2024, so the month of the shooting, it emerged on stolen plates. So the DP21OXY is a false plate. Mm-hmm. That bike could have been moving around on different plates prior to that point. As I say, we know that bike has connections to the Barset estate and Tappersfield estate areas of South London, and it's a loud bike. Like it's a head turner. If it's a loud exhaust, when that bike's on the move, people can hear it. It's distinctive in its colourings. I think if you've seen that bike on your estate or nearby to where you live, there's a good chance that you would have seen it and you would have heard it.
Yeah, as you say, it's distinctive and it's got the noisy exhaust on it. This sporty bike, powerful bike. You may well have seen it in your area, and you need to know more about it. What about the weapon itself? What do you know about that? What information do you have?
So the weapon was a 9mm self-loading pistol. It's never been used before in any crime, and it's never been used since in any crime. We believe that firearm has been discarded of and will probably never be seen again.
Watching the appeal there, it's just heartbreaking hearing the family speak about what's happened to them. How are they doing now?
You can imagine it's extremely difficult. Their young daughter has got a bullet lodged in her brain and will have for the rest of her life. That causes cognitive difficulties. She's not the same individual she would have been had this incident not happened. It's been a really, really difficult time and will continue to be so for the family, unfortunately.
So we need to get them answers. Who are you appealing to today?
I'm really appealing to anyone who has any information in relation to the shooter or the bike. Even if you've just seen that bike, as I say, circling where you live, if you've seen it parked outside an address, if you know the shooter or if you believe you've seen someone in that clothing, then please do call us. We need to hear from you.
And if anyone needs any further incentive to get in touch, there is a reward that's been put up.
That's correct. There is a reward of up to £15,000 from the Met Police, and that's in relation to any identification, arrest and prosecution of not just the shooter but anyone else involved in this offence.
Ben, thank you. Please do pick up the phone if you know anything about this truly awful shooting. All the ways you can contact us are at the bottom of the screen, and we'll be there throughout the whole programme.
For our next appeal, I'm with PC Dan Simpson from Thames Valley Police, who needs your help to solve a worrying sexual assault against a schoolgirl. Thanks so much for coming in this morning, Dan. What more can you tell us about this appeal?
On the 3rd of November last year, about 3:45 in the afternoon, so middle of the day, broad daylight, in a busy residential area, Milton Keynes, a victim, a young teenage schoolgirl, was assaulted. A male would run up behind her, grabbed her under her skirt before running off.
We can actually see the location on a map. You say it's the Oldbrook area of Milton Keynes.
That's right. So it's a busy residential estate that borders the city centre. There's a large college on the estate next to it, and yeah, the offence location, Underwood Place, is full of houses.
Yeah. And as you say, this was a teenage girl. It must have been incredibly terrifying for her. How's she doing now?
Yeah, I've touched base with her throughout the course of the investigation, and she's okay. She has a good support network around her, but obviously this type of offence is distressing and causes a lot of upset. Absolutely.
Well, what was she able to tell you about the perpetrator, Dan?
She gave a really good description. As you can see on the screen, it's allowed us to build this e-fit image. The clothing was sort of all dark, black clothing, fairly nondescript, but he has quite distinctive, sort of thin dreadlocks.
And as you say, an incredibly useful e-fit, actually, because it then allowed you to locate somebody on some CCTV footage. We can take a look at that now. Just explain what we're seeing here.
So that's our victim walking. We believe this is our suspect walking with quite a lot of purpose. It's quite sort of almost predatory in nature when you think about what occurred later.
Yes. And just to remind us again of the location, it's Illingworth Place that was.
So that footage was from Illingworth Place. So it was a few minutes before the offence, which occurred on Underwood Place, the road parallel.
Yeah. Incredibly important that you locate this person. How can people watching today help?
Anybody that recognises the person in the fit image, or may have witnessed anything that happened on the day, we need to just get in touch.
The nature of the crime, it was quite opportunistic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's opportunistic in the sense that our victim and the suspect passed in the street, and she noticed him following her 3 or 4 occasions onwards from there until she met her friend, and before the offence took place.
If anybody has been through an experience familiar to this, or indeed if someone's out and about, they don't feel that safe, they're being followed, what advice would you give to them?
Call 999 and speak to the police straight away. Stay on the phone, tell the operator where you are. And if they feel particularly unsafe, move towards a busy area where there's other people. Offences like this, violence against women and girls, is a national police priority, and it's something we will deal with on sort of the highest priority.
Yeah, some good advice there, and hopefully people watching at home can help. Dan, thanks so much again for joining us this morning. So if you do recognise the man in the e-fit, take a good look. If you know anything at all that can help with this case, all the ways to contact us are on the screen below.
Still to come. We'll be hearing from the charity Crime Stoppers about how their anonymous hotline has helped solve thousands of crimes.
Good afternoon, Crime Stoppers, how can I help you?
We're not the police. We treat them completely anonymously. Because we don't record the calls, we don't trace calls, no one will know where that information's come from.
But But first, you may have seen in the news how serial killer Steve Wright finally confessed to murdering teenager Victoria Hall 26 years ago. Well, we now have an exclusive film with the officers who finally cracked the case and secured much-needed justice for a grieving family.
What's your favourite pop group? At the moment, at this moment in time, this is Spice Girls.
She was our firstborn. She was just Victoria, yeah? She was our little girl.
She was what you would call a very typical girly girl.
She was just going into second year of sixth form. She liked to do a lot of performing arts. There used to be a theatre group that she used to go to. Spent many a late night picking her up.
She really had her mind set on going to university, so it was all looking forward to things.
On the 18th of September 1999, Victoria Hall was out for the evening with her best friend.
They went to the Bandbox nightclub and they left at 1 o'clock in the morning. They walked to the local takeaway shop and then walked the long way home through Felixstowe. This was a usual activity for them. They parted company. Victoria turned off towards her home address and Gemma would carry on straight up the main road towards her address. We know that 2 minutes later, Gemma heard what sounded like 2 high-pitched female screams. She didn't think anything more of it at the time, just thinking it was somebody messing around. And it wasn't until the next morning when Victoria's mum phoned Gemma to find that they'd parted company at the edge of the estate, and Victoria's mum instantly knew something bad had happened and phoned the police.
We had a week of waiting, but
5 days later, Victoria's body was discovered 25 miles away.
In the evening of Friday the 24th September 1999, in Cretan St Peter, a man was walking his dog along a track next to a field and a ditch. Unfortunately, he saw Victoria in that ditch.
The day before Victoria went missing, an attempted kidnap was reported in the same area.
Emily Doughty was a 22-year-old woman. She was living in Felixstowe, and she went to the same nightclub as Victoria Hall did. She was there into the early hours of Saturday, the 18th of September 1999. She left with her friends just after 2 o'clock in the morning and found herself split up from those friends, and she started to walk home alone. She soon noticed that there was a car parked next to the pavement. The door was open, there was a man stood next to it, which immediately frightened her to the point that she took some evasive action, moved away from him to try and hide. He carried on following her. She picked up a stick at one point because she was so scared, and she was knocking on doors trying to get in to get herself safe, and eventually a couple let her in.
At the time, the events weren't linked, but years later, the description Emily gave of that man and his car would prove vital.
He was 6 foot, he was late 30s, he had a slight beer belly, a round face, and blonde hair. She provided a description of clothing, which was a yellow polo shirt. It was a dark coloured car. It had a stripe around the bodywork, an H-registered car, and also there was a E and an H in the registration. At the time, they did a search of vehicles in Suffolk that could match that registration. That came back to 56 vehicles. One of those we know to be Steve Wright's.
At the time, police had another suspect, and Steve Wright wasn't investigated. The case remained unsolved for 20 years.
But then in June 2020, he was named as a suspect in Victoria's murder, based on compelling circumstantial evidence, and that he was a convicted serial killer.
We knew that he'd murdered 5 women in Ipswich in 2006 and that he'd left them naked in rural locations. We could see the similarity that held to how Victoria was left. And also, when we looked in detail around the car description, the description of the male and the registration that Emily provided, we got that down to one vehicle, which was Steve Wright's.
Next, they re-examined the CCTV from Victoria Hall's case. With the help of a facial recognition expert, they positively identified that Steve Wright had been at a petrol station near the time of the killing.
It was gold dust, really, that CCTV. 20-odd years later, we're able to find an image of Steve Wright in the petrol station 4 hours after Victoria was taken, just 10 minutes drive from where her body was located.
They also confirmed he hadn't been in work at the time of her disappearance.
Within a matter of days of Victoria being murdered and left abandoned in a rural location, Steve Wright actually traded in that dark-coloured car. He also changed his mobile phone number. You know, these, I'd say, are all actions of somebody that's trying to cover their tracks.
The time is 9:30, and I need to tell you that I'm arresting you.
He was arrested for the murder of Victoria Hall.
Okay, I'm also arresting you on suspicion of the attempted kidnap of Emily Doherty.
In interview, he denied any knowledge of either case.
Did you try to kidnap Emily Doherty on High Road East during the early hours of the 18th of September 1999?
No.
What's your knowledge of the abduction of Victoria Hall and her murder?
No knowledge whatsoever.
Okay. Nothing at all?
Nothing.
The team retested the DNA using modern, improved techniques.
We ended up with initial results that provided strong support that there was a match to Steve Wright.
The scientist has determined that the YSTR profile results obtained from both samples provide very strong support for the proposition that the majority of the male DNA detected in that sample originated from you, Steve Wright.
There was enough evidence to charge him with the attempted kidnapping of Emily Doherty and the murder of Victoria Hall. And in a groundbreaking decision, the judge ruled that Wright's bad character could be disclosed to the jury.
From the opening of the case, the jury would understand that Steve Wright had murdered 5 women, but importantly, it was all the similarities between those deaths that would really sort of tie everything together.
His trial was due to begin on the 2nd of February 2026 at the Old Bailey. But just as it was about to start, he changed his plea to guilty. Wright was sentenced on the 6th of Feb 2026.
Given your obvious dangerousness and your age, the sentence already imposed for your other dreadful crimes, it is well nigh certain you will die in prison. The sentences I impose are: 1, for the attempted kidnap of Emily Doherty, 9 years imprisonment concurrent; 2, for the kidnap of Victoria Hall, 12 years imprisonment concurrent; 3, for the murder of Victoria Hall, I pass a sentence of life imprisonment with a minimum term of 40 years.
Tragically, Victoria's mum Lorinda died shortly before Christmas 2025.
We'd had these conversations, hadn't we? And she was pretty dead set that it was him as well. So she knew. Yeah, it's a shame she never got to see the actual justice.
He could sit in prison and rot, really. I'm not spending any more time on him. It's done. He's done. He's gone. I haven't thought about him. I won't think about him again.
Some much-needed closure for Victoria's family there. We're joined now by an organisation who keeps cases just like that one very much alive in the public consciousness, and that's Crime Stoppers. They're a charity that we often talk about here on CrimeWatch, and I'm pleased to say that I'm joined now by Mark Callis, who is their Chief Executive. Thank you so much for coming in today, Mark. It'd be lovely to talk a bit more about Crime Stoppers. For anybody that doesn't know that much about the work that you do, what more can you tell us?
Well, we're an independent charity that was set up nearly 40 years ago, nearly as old as CrimeWatch, and with the express aim of providing a mechanism for the public to pass information safely, securely, but above all else and critically anonymously to the police so that they can take appropriate action, whether it's further investigation, help solve a crime or bring justice to a victim's family. We take an awful lot of calls and online forms every day. Just to put things into context, this year we'll take 750,000 contacts from the public, and we'll send over 250,000 reports to the police and wider law enforcement. And we find from a lot of our survey work that there is a strong minority of the public, about 20–25%, that just struggle to talk to the police under almost any circumstances because of fear of retaliation or retribution.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because looking at the figures, you really are achieving positive results. What do you think mainly is driving that?
I think there's probably three reasons that we need to consider. First of all, the fact that there is more crime of certain types in certain areas. Secondly, and I think critically, is that we're running, in conjunction with partners like yourselves, far more national and local and regional campaigns that are getting the message of hope out. And when we do that, we get more information. And thirdly, the fact that there is a need for our service because of since we've had a number of significant cases, tragic cases, such as the murder of Sarah Everard, trust and confidence in policing has taken a bit of a hit, and a lot of people still want to do the right thing, but they'll come to us to make sure that information gets to where it needs to get to.
Yeah. You've got a new reporting line, haven't you?
Yes, we've set up something called the Police Anti-Corruption and Abuse Reporting Service, something that we set up in conjunction with police chiefs and police and crime commissioners so that the public can give information on the most serious cases of wrongdoing carried out by police officers and police staff. Now, we all know that the vast majority of police officers and police staff are doing a fantastic job under difficult circumstances, but there is, unfortunately, a small minority of officers who aren't, and they need to be held to account for their wrongdoing. And I think it's very good that the police are shining a torchlight in that area and that the public can report that. And we've sent over 5,000 reports in the past 2 years to the 43 police forces in this country so they can investigate fully and appropriately.
Now, you are a charity. Where should people go if they want to find out a bit more about you?
They should use their search engine of choice, type in Crime Stoppers, and they will find our website. On that website, they'll find lots of information about the campaigns that we're running, either ourselves or with partners. They'll also find information about how to protect themselves from crime, and importantly and critically, they'll find a way to pass information on an online form or call us on 0800 555 111.
And Mark, you actually invited us to your headquarters to get a bit more of an insight into the work you and the team do, so let's take a look.
1985. Tensions between police and a local community in North London had been rising, resulting in a riot at the Broadwater Farm Estate in Tottenham. A small team of police officers was sent in to protect firefighters. But they were violently attacked. PC Keith Blakelock died as a result of his injuries.
Essentially, PC Keith Blakelock, he'd been murdered and people knew what had happened, but it was a kind of estate where people didn't talk directly to the police for fear of retaliation or retribution.
Good afternoon, Crime Stoppers. How can I help you?
As a direct result of this tragic case, Crime Stoppers was set up, giving a voice to anyone who was too afraid to speak out.
We exist so that people who want to pass information safely, securely, but above all else anonymously, can do that to us, and we'll make sure that it then gets to the police.
At its headquarters, over 50 trained staff deal with calls and information passed to them online.
We take information on all crime types. That can be from murder, rape, to drink driving, county lines, offences. We also help protect people from offences such as domestic abuse and child sexual exploitation.
Every call is slightly different. It can be a neighbour wanting to give information on someone maybe drug dealing or domestic abuse that they witness. We're not the police. We treat them completely anonymously. Because we don't record the calls, we don't trace calls, no one will know where that information's come from.
That anonymity is key and a vital incentive for people who may otherwise slip through the net.
There's a hardcore of about 20% of people who, for a variety of circumstances, won't talk to the police directly. We give them an avenue to speak up and stay safe.
Okay.
We've structured the system so that if anybody phones us, the phone number is scrambled, or if anybody sends in an online form, the IP address is stripped out before it gets to us, so there is genuinely no way of us knowing, let alone the police knowing, who have contacted us.
Calls come in from across the UK and need sensitive handling.
When they make that call, it's always about trying to build a rapport, trying to find out what they want out of making that call. It can take a bit of reassurance sometimes because this can be the toughest call for some people. There are times that calls are quite tough. So for me personally, I'm a mum of teenagers. So I find child abuse and domestic abuse quite hard.
Crime Stoppers, how can I help you?
Although rewards are sometimes offered, most people want to do the right thing, resulting in some significant leads for the police.
We've had, on one occasion, a paedophile who'd been on the run for a long time, and then as a result of the campaign that we'd launched, he was arrested literally within 24 hours.
For the call agents, knowing they could be stopping a crime or protecting an individual is a great reward for a tough job.
I always tell myself we wouldn't be here if we didn't make a difference.
That was just such a fascinating insight, wasn't it, and to see the work they do and think
really
of
valuable.
Yeah, thousands of cases over the years. Yeah, great to see. Now to a popular gadget that is used as a professional tool employed daily by law enforcement. I'm talking about these things. Drones, of course.
Yeah, we've seen countless examples on the programme of how they're being used by police to help find missing people, provide bird's-eye views of events and locating suspects. And we're now with Sergeant Matthew Fussey, who's one of the 5 senior drone pilots with Durham Constabulary. He's had great success tackling antisocial behaviour with his team. Really good to have you with us for you to tell us a bit more about these drones. What are some of the key benefits?
So, as you've alluded to, the technology in these drones have vastly increased in recent years, and a lot of industries, including the police, have taken them on board as a really good tool. And the same with ourselves in Durham. We have currently in force 63 qualified pilots, including 5 senior pilots, what I am one of, and a further 8 that are in a cohort of training now, as we speak, receiving the training to go out and fly these drones.
They've got infrared capabilities. I mean, the tech that's involved in these little pieces of kit is quite incredible.
Absolutely. We can deploy, because we have them in the vehicle with us at all times, we can deploy spontaneously to incidents. From being called to the scene, we can be up within 1 or 2 minutes. And really for use at night, whereas there was previous limitations, we can now give that bird's eye view at night, giving a full bit of a night, a look from the sky at night.
So what we're seeing there, Matt, that is one of these drones.
It is.
It doesn't look like a drone, does it? It looks like a helicopter or something.
Or a spaceship.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But look at the amount of light that it's illuminating. That is something that similar to what we've got here in the studio, the same sort of
the same drone, the same drone with the speaker system and light system on the top. We can light a significant amount of dark space at night quite effectively.
So what are the type of incidents then that you and your team could see themselves deploying kit like this to deal with?
The best way to look at it is what incidents don't we attend, because
Really?
this type of equipment we can deploy at many incidents, many serious investigations have resulted in good positive results as a result of the drone. We can assist our colleagues in collision investigation, serious and fatal RTCs. We can provide that view, that bird's eye view that historically they've never had that footage for. We've also been impacted at assisting with pre-planned events, public events. We recently had the King visit the city of Durham. We were able to provide a live stream of the footage to our command room, so our commanders could see a bird's eye view of what was going on at certain points of his visit to the county.
And we mentioned antisocial behaviour just in passing before. I mean, being able to pursue potential suspects is incredibly useful, isn't it?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, as some footage we're showing here, we have a problem within the county with persistent nuisance riders and those that cause antisocial behaviour for our communities. And this technology is at the forefront of trying to target and identify them. Whether that is we get the drone up and give commentary to cops on the ground to actively detain them and locate them, as well as using that evidence and intelligence picture around gathering evidence to go to court and prosecute them. This all footage, given how good quality the footage is really good.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned earlier the idea is now for the officers to actually have the drones in the vehicle so they can respond to an incident. We're going to play a clip now. This is one of your officers that was pursuing this vehicle here, driving incredibly dangerously. But this officer actually used the drone as well. Tell us what's happening, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of our senior pilots as well. He's part of the road policing unit within Force. He is also a qualified drone pilot. He was able to pursue the individual from the ground with the police vehicle and then effectively deploy instantaneously with the drone. And as you can see there, the individual...
What's the point?
Hands up, he's caught.
And it's all on camera, of course, evidentially as well, which is crucial.
And just finally, the stats, I mean, they speak for themselves, don't they? You're having real success.
Without a shadow of a doubt, within the last 18 months, we've had significant input financially through the Durham Police Crime Commissioner, as well as support through the local county council and town councils. And all of that funding is able to get the stats that we have. In 2025, we made 1,400 missions with the drone across all of the pilots within Force, of which over 500 of them were successful deployments. And when I refer to successful deployments, I'm saying about suspects that we've apprehended with the use of the drone, people who are missing that we've been able to locate fit and well with the use of the drone, or vehicles that have been stolen or abandoned. We've located over 50 of them.
It's fantastic work, Matt. Honestly, thank you for telling us more. Appreciate it.
For me. And I'm afraid that brings us to the end of today's programme. Remember, you can catch us on iPlayer for the next 30 days and you can check out and share all our appeals on Facebook and also on our website.
Tomorrow we've got the extraordinary case of the real gangster granny who recruited pretty much her entire family to courier a ton of cocaine around the country.
She has not protected her family at all. She has brought them into a life of criminality.
Well, that was until the law caught up, of course.
Exactly. See you tomorrow, same time, 10:45.
Over now.